Good evening. The July 28th meeting of the Evanston City Council will come to order. Would the clerk please take the roll?
Gap between us
Yeah,
here.
there's a big gap between
Go
us.
for it.
Councilmember Suffredin will not be here tonight, so we will not be starting the roll call with him. Councilmember Davis will be here shortly. Councilmember Rogers.
Here.
Councilmember Heracariz.
Here.
Councilmember Kelly. Here. Councilmember Harris will not be here tonight. And Councilmember Isles.
Here.
Councilmember Newsma.
Hi.
Councilmember Burns. Is he here? Was here. I don't know if he'll be here tonight. And Mayor Biss.
Here. We have a quorum present, albeit barely, and are prepared to do our work for the evening. It's my understanding, Clerk, that there will not be any council members intending to participate remotely. Is that correct? Okay, so we can dispense with approval of virtual council member participation. Speaking of dispensing, the next item on the agenda is my public announcements and proclamations, of which there are none. You're welcome. The next item on the agenda is the city manager's public announcements. Deputy City Manager Karina Sanchez is acting city manager during the course of this week. Go ahead.
We have no announcements for today.
There are no city manager's announcements today. Next item on the agenda is communications from the city clerk.
We just had an email communication from Jess Smith about vacation rentals, and that is it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We now come to public comment. This evening, there are just under 15 people signed up for public comments. Everyone will be given the full 3 minutes. We begin, as always, with those who signed up in person to speak in person. I'm warning you guys, I don't know if it's handwriting or me, but I'm a little worried about some pronunciations here, and I apologize in advance for any mistakes I make and welcome any corrections. The first speaker is David Barker, who will be followed by Robert Hauser and then Linda Hauser. And David's last name I'm having trouble with here, so is there a David B. something? Seeing that this individual is no longer here, we'll move ahead with Robert Hauser, who will be followed by Linda Hauser, and then Liz Josh.
Good evening. My name is Bob Hauser. I'm a 41-year resident of Evanston, taxpayer for all that time. I'm here about the Special Olympics program and the fact that Leonard Woodson, who handled the program as long as I'm aware. I have a Down syndrome daughter who has been intimately involved in the activities. I can't tell you how many different activities, sports that she's been in, all supported by Leonard Woodson. The love and support that he's provided to her and to all the other members. We just learned of Leonard's ultimate termination about 3:30 today, and you can tell how many people have still been able to come here and express their concern. Leonard, as perhaps you know, has been employed for 36 years here, or coming on as of October, and until approximately 2 years ago, there was never any problem with, in fact, Lauren Ruiz apparently was appointed supervisor, and since that time, numerous complaints, and ultimately he was terminated on July 16th. Since July 16th, the Special Olympics program has been a shambles. Program's been canceled. Sunday, there was a regional softball meet that the Evanston softball 12 members were to attend. It was canceled by Ms. Ruiz. From what I understand, these kids really had a good chance of winning and going downstate, and that's something that they all strive for. And Leonard, during the entire time that I have known him, has just been so wonderful to these kids, and he's been just a credit to the city of Evanston. And I just want to express just the concern that the Special Olympics program has with this termination, and how, in fact, it's just been a nightmare since. For these kids. There's other people here that can speak directly as to the impact it's had, but the impact that Leonard has had that we will all miss is just incredible. Unfortunately, my wife, who was scheduled to speak, left. Next, she had to leave because we, in fact, were scheduled for 7 o'clock. It's important enough that I'm here and will stay here just to hear what, in fact, the council may, in fact, decide. But I really suggest that the council revisit this whole issue of the Special Olympics program and how it can be brought back to where it has been until July 16th, the day of Leonard's termination. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Liz Josh, who will be followed by Kurt Noble, and then Christina Rosinia.
Hi, my name is Liz Slipback. I've been doing,
Liz, do you mind just speaking into the microphone? Thank you
my
very much.
name is Liz Slipback. I've been doing sports for almost 14, 15 years. Leonard has taught me how to be an athlete, how to be how to do sports. He's been a coach. He's also let me do many opportunities, like meet Michael Phelps. He taught me how to do many sports. Please don't take away our coach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Kurt Noble, who will be followed by Christina Rosinia, and then Caroline Colian.
Hi, I've known Coach Leonard since 1979, and he really pushes you when you need to, like for like when I was in powerlifting, so I do like some of the things that he does to get things done with sports, and so thank you.
And just to follow up with him, I'm his wife, but I'm also a Special Olympics athlete, and I serve on a couple of national committees as well. And I understand that, sometimes changes, needs to happen. I'm all for that because I've kind of learned that the hard way. But I know that, speaking of my fellow athletes, he has been really good for us. He has pushed us a lot, and, especially, I know they were really heartbroken about not being able to compete yesterday. I know we have a couple of other events coming up, like in the middle of August, we have our state, we're supposed to go downstate to compete in tennis, which is, and there's 4 of us that are supposed to be going there, and now that's in question. After all of our hard work that we've, done in practice and stuff, and that we were able to advance down there, that might be in jeopardy. So if you can just please keep that in mind as well. Thank you.
And were you Christina? Sorry.
No,
Oh, got it. Okay. Oh, perfect. Got it. All right. No, my apologies. My mistake. Sorry about that. The next speaker is then Christina Rosinia, who will be followed by Caroline Colian, and then Dave Michalak. If Christina is no longer here, we'll move ahead to Caroline Colian, followed by Dave Michalak, and then Ray Friedman.
Hi, yes. Leonard was a great coach. The only sports I did was in high school that I did track and field. Then I had stopped doing sports, and I came to my dad and told him I want to continue doing track and field. And then I met up with Leonard Woodson. He told me all the sports that we can do, and I started immediately. Some of the sports I'm not doing anymore too physical with my body. But I did go to nationals in 2014 Thanks to Leonard, who nominated me to go to nationals. Later, after we got back, I had the confidence in applying for a job for teaching swimming. And now I am a great swimming instructor. And when he nominated me for 2014 USA Games, there are some strokes I did not know how to do. So when my coaches asked me, would you like to do the 100 IM? I said I can try. And so Leonard's like, we have very little time to teach you butterfly. So I thought that was kind of funny. And now to this day, I do it every summer games or district. And he also nominated me for the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame, which I am very grateful for him to have done that, because I was the very first Special Olympics athlete to get inducted. Leonard Woodson I've been with Leonard since 2006. He drove a long way from his house to get to Evanston to support us with our sports. And he was just a great guy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Dave Michalak, who will be followed by Ray Friedman, and then Cecilia Wallen.
How you doing, Mr. Mayor? Good to see you again. I'm sorry, folks, I have something else to bring up today. I'm just here for the same issues I was here for last time that haven't been addressed. You know, since that time, I've called the city manager. I understand he went on vacation Friday. I called 2 weeks ago. I still haven't heard from him. And it's like the third or fourth time I've tried to reach out to ask what steps are being taken to address these issues, specifically the forestry issues, which are citywide throughout the city. We're talking hundreds of trees. If they just did a work order for each tree, 1 tree a day, in a year, they could resolve this issue. So far, it's been 14 years and nothing's been done. For example, I sent an email, I called 311, I sent in a work order for 3 specific trees just to help out. And that was June 9th. A month later, they sent me an email saying they don't have time to get to it. There's so many other trees to get done. And that's over a month ago. This is 2 months. And those are 3 trees that haven't been addressed in years, maybe over a decade. So this is a very real issue. I think people would like to be able to walk on the sidewalks of Evanston without running into a tree full of branches. I think that's a pretty reasonable request. And we're talking hundreds of trees all over the city, Mayor, all over the city. I got a dog, I walk my dog all over the city. I brought it up with my alderman, I brought it up with you and your city manager last meeting. And, you know, what steps are being taken? Have you spoken with the city manager about this? Yes? No? Are you going to answer or? No? Okay, well, that's pretty much what's getting done. Pretty much nothing. And this is going to reflect upon you very poorly. You know, when the city looks like a cesspool, there's a lot of other issues. Like when it rains, extensive flooding, no matter how much rainfall it is, because of the sewage and street issues. There's a lot of maintenance issues citywide that need to be addressed that aren't being addressed and haven't been addressed for many years. For 14 years I've been here in the city. And I've lived in many towns in Illinois and never lived in a town in such a state of disrepair in my life. I went to a college town in Illinois, none of these issues. The town I grew up in, none of these issues, never had these issues. They had pride in their town and they took care of it. I just don't understand what it takes to inspire you to do the same. Any comment, any response to that, Mr. Mayor? No. Okay, well, I'll see you next meeting because I'm not going to let it drop. Because you know what? You can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for campaigning, but it costs $0 for bad press based on truth. And I'm just going to keep stomping on it until it inspires you to do something, okay? If it takes to shame you every meeting, then that's what I'm prepared to do. You and the city manager. And I'll see you next meeting.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Ray Friedman, who will be followed by Cecilia Wallen.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry I missed last council meeting. As I've been requesting for many years now, that all public comments are heard, and at a later date, some of you or all of you would in some way, shape, or form respond to all public comments. How else would we know if our voices are being heard or considered? Mayor Biss, I've read most of your dozens of recent emails from the past few months, and I have to say that I agree with most of what you've said. Having people work together to make this world a better place to live and work, and changes you would like to see if elected to Congress. Why can't we make some meaningful changes here in Evanston? It looks like and feels like the residents here are being ignored. Borrowing money from general obligation bonds month after month after month does not look like or feel like good practice. Hiring many consultants and doing many studies are wasteful in most cases. Personally, I'm very offended, and I'm not alone, and you're making decisions without giving your residents a voice and a choice. This is a disgrace to you and all of your residents. Standing here at 909 Davis, paying $2.5 million per year for 15 years after being found guilty of an Open Meetings Act violation, and leaving the old City Hall empty with no plan and no discussion or approval with your residents about either City Hall is a disgrace and huge waste of our taxpayer dollars. I see payroll is $4.5 million in today's agenda. That's for 2 weeks, or $9 million per month. We owe approximately $200 million in general obligation bonds, which cost us approximately $15 million per year for 20 years in principal and interest. Do we need 900 employees, including 3 city managers? That includes 2 assistant city managers, all 3 earning apparently between $169,000 and $279,000. We also have 40 to 45 departments, committees, commissions, and commissions, and we have about 200 to 300 volunteers. By the way, I looked up on Google, what's the average city manager salary? It's $111,000 throughout the state of Illinois, $111,000 per year, but we're paying between $169,000 and $279,000. I wasn't here last council meeting, but I think I heard Perry L. Davis suggest one of our goals to track our expenses over a certain amount, and I appreciate that. Mayor Biss, you want to stand up and do what's right for Congress. Why don't you stand up and do what's right for here in Evanston?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
One
The
more
next
sentence.
speaker is Cecilia
Be more
Wallen.
concerned with what
Thank you
people
very
have
much.
to say instead of the time that they're saying it in. Thank you.
The next speaker is Cecilia Wallen.
Hi, I'm Cecilia Wallen, and this is my son Marcelo, who's nonverbal. Marcelo has participated in accessible recreation and Special Olympics for the past 19 years. We have witnessed firsthand the demands of the position Leonard Woodson held until recently. In addition to facilitating programs and coaching, the position had many other demands, including communicating with athletes and families, coordinating and supervising travel, organizing events and celebrations with Northwestern students. Most significantly, the position entailed providing a stable and supportive presence in these athletes' lives and creating a sense of community among them, many who are socially isolated. We understand, sorry, I'm losing my notes. Sorry, I got it, Marcelo. We understand the confidential nature of any personnel decision. However, the City of Evanston demonstrated little consideration and care for the accessible recreation participants and Special Olympic athletes. There was no communication regarding a plan for covering the many demands of the position. Meets and activities have been canceled. There is a sense of great disruption and no acknowledgement that these individuals have lost a beloved coach and advocate. As I expressed in my letter, Mr. Woodson's work did not take place in a back office. It entailed establishing and sustaining relationships with a vulnerable population. They deserve much better than the city of Evanston has demonstrated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. By my reckoning, this concludes the in-person portion of public comment. Is there anyone here in person who I didn't call on who intended to speak? If not, we'll move on to the online public comment, which will begin with Tricia Connolly, who will be followed by Amanda Ziem.
Good evening. Tonight I'm here to speak about Airbnbs. Thankfully, I'm actually speaking as a thank you. So take note of that because I rarely do that, as you know. I wanted to thank those of you on planning and development who voted tonight to keep 2 of our moderately priced houses here in Evanston. Looking forward to hearing the specifics on how we will balance the interest with Airbnb rentals and reevaluate to what degree that doesn't have a negative effect in our community. We all know we need more moderately priced housing in Evanston, and tonight you voted to take 2 moderately priced houses out of the Airbnb circuit, so thank you. Since housing is a hot commodity for investors, what will we do as a local government to carve out stipulations that encourage buying moderately priced homes to live in or long-term rental properties to people that would like to live or stay in Evanston, or to those community members financially trying to stay in Evanston by renting out parts of their homes, coach houses, or ADUs as Airbnbs? I'm hopeful that staff will work to bring proposals that you will articulate the interest in having provisions that will strengthen keeping housing local. I'm glad there will be some further discussion and action on how we can better maintain moderately priced housing for people who want to become part of the fabric of our community. Thanks again for recognizing the need and the importance of moderately priced housing in Evanston. Good night.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Amanda Ziem, who I believe is no longer in the Zoom. Is that correct? Okay. In that case, that concludes this evening's public comment. We now move to the consent agenda. Bear with me here because I want to make sure I'm getting this right. So first of all, as I understand it, A4 came out of ANPW with a neutral recommendation. Is that correct? And then, as I understand it, there's a recommendation that P5 be removed from the agenda. There's a recommendation that P5 be removed from the agenda so that it can be considered for introduction and action on the same evening. Then, as I understand it, Chair Hedekaitis, P3 wasn't considered at all. Is that right?
We voted no on P2, P3, and P4.
Okay, so there were negative votes on all 3 of those, and then I'm getting conflicting
P5,
direction.
and then P5 needs to be removed for special consideration.
Yes, but I'm getting conflicting messages from the Corporation Council. Are P2, P3, and P4 dead now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. That's easier. Okay, so the items to be removed from the agenda, from the consent agenda, before you guys get a shot, are P2, P3, and P4, which did not pass and are not here in front of council at all. P5 for potential introduction and action. There's not a requirement that A4 be removed. It's just want to flag for your information that it came out of committee with a neutral recommendation. So if folks want to remove it in light of that, that's a thing they may want to consider doing.
If you could please remove P6 as well.
Yes, P6 is removed too.
A3 and A4?
A3 and A4. So right now we have A3, A4, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6. Anything else?
Mr. Mayor, I will move the consent agenda minus items A3, A4, P2, P3, P4, P5, and P6.
I'll second.
Councilmember Newsom moves adoption of the consent agenda with the following 7 exceptions. Items A3 and A4, P2, 3, 4, 5, 6, period. Councilmember Rogers seconds. I'm going to read that again because I read it in a weird way by accident. A3, A4, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6. The motion is made by Councilmember Newsom, seconded by Councilmember Rogers. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers?
Aye.
Councilmember Hedagaris?
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly? Councilmember Isles?
Aye.
Councilmember Newsma?
Aye.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
With 7 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries, and the consent agenda with the 7 exceptions previously announced is adopted. It's already been effectuated, but just please note for the record that Councilmember Davis and Burns are both present and participating in the meeting. Councilmember Newsom, do you have a motion relative to item A3?
Mr. Mayor, I move item A3, approval of a contract award with Ramirez Group LLC for Fire Station Number 3 structural concrete repairs bid in the amount of $147,800.
I'll second.
Councilmember Newsom moves approval of the contract award just described. Councilmember Hedekatis seconds. Councilmember Kelly.
Thank you. I pulled off and I can address both A3 and A4. So neither of these were subject to our responsible bidders ordinance, and we're several months now since we passed it. Section 4 of our ordinance said this ordinance shall be in full force and effect beginning upon passage. So it concerns me that where we're at now and that we're still waiting for this to be enforced. So I just wanted to pull that off. For that reason, that's one of the main reasons I will not be supporting either of these. And I hope some of my co-sponsors would also be concerned. Thank you.
Can I just ask, for those of us who were not at ANPW, could we get an explanation of the situation?
Thank you, Mayor Bess and members of the City Council, Alex Ruggie, Corporation Council. It was an oversight that we didn't say that we needed a little time for implementation on the RBO. There were several last-minute changes to the ordinance, and so we're still just working on implementing it. I did ask purchasing this evening to hold any bids going forward. I'm almost completed updating all of the bid packages, so it should be going out, but we won't put any more bids out without those in there. So apologies, but we are working very diligently to get that included.
Thank you. Would the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers?
Aye.
Councilmember Hedekaris?
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly?
No.
Councilmember Isles?
Aye.
Councilmember Newsma?
Aye.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
With 6 voting in favor and 1 voting against, the motion carries and the contract award is approved. Now on item A4, Councilmember Newsom, do you have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move item A4, approval of a contract award with AGAE Contractors for the Twiggs Park Playground Improvement Project in the dollar amount of $636,000. Second.
Councilmember Newsom moves approval of the contract award just described. Councilmember Burns seconds. Councilmember Davis, followed by Burns.
Yeah, so I had complaints at AP&W about this. So if you recall, like back in May, we had to vote on Beck Park, and Beck Park had a $1 million grant attached to it, but the price of the park was price of the project was $3 million, so $3.6 million. And the excuse back then was that we could not wait because the deadline for the grant was coming up, and also we wanted to make sure we got the grant money, so we had to spend way more than the grant actually was worth in order to use the grant money. And so the same excuse is being used here, where the claim is that in order to use these CDBG funds, we have to spend more money than we originally planned or allocated because of this grant money where this deadline is coming up. And so my problem, in addition to the fact that we only have one quote for this, so there's only one bid that came in, and there is no mention of any attempt to expand it. I know that Director Biggs mentioned earlier that they cannot control whether or not they get bids or not, but when I asked her at APW if there was anything that City Council could do to direct for funds or anything to fix the problem of our exceedingly expensive parks, she gave me a non-answer in which she addressed a bunch of other things but never answered my question on point. If you'd like to now, I'm open to it, but we have repeatedly had this issue, and everyone on City Council has said to me that we all agree that we're spending too much money on our parks, but we are not talking about a solution, and instead, we keep approving things just because we have a small amount of grant money proportionate to the actual park. In addition to that, the lack of the bid, the fact that we're not applying the RBO, and we all claim that we are pro-union on this dais, but we are not willing to hold this for a couple of weeks or anything of that nature in order to give time so that the RBO could be applied. But on all of that, I also take issue with the fact that we do not seem to have any systematic approach with how we are addressing our parks, and I have not seen an explanation that would direct towards that. Now, I get that the whole point earlier was that we can only apply the funds for this park to this specific park in this certain amount of money. But if that was the case, given that this park was not in line, based on my understanding from the Parks and Rec Board and also based on the explanation that was given, I don't understand why we allowed it to go over budget and to cost any additional money. It seems to me that it was an option previously for it not to cost this much, and a decision was made at some point. Perhaps it was at the Parks and Recs level, but the other problem with that is that you guys are leaning against that and saying, oh, the Parks and Rec Board, voted whatever. We are the main determining body. And I think that the sentiment should have been received loud and clear that we need to cut spending and we want to cut discretionary spending. And I don't see any attempts there in that type of nature. And so what I'm asking for here is that we are not proving that we are serious about finances when we keep approving these things because of the small amounts of grant money that we're getting. And no one is proposing any solutions. So I'll be reaching out to you with solutions, but as it applies to this, I don't think that the excuse of we had a small amount of grant money and now we have to do this entire project, this big project, and spend all of this other money is an excuse any longer. That's it. That's my long rant. Thank you.
Councilmember Burns, Councilmember Burns, followed by Kelly.
Unless I missed something, I don't ever remember that being the reason why. Can you respond to that, Laura? Is that the reason why we're improving this park is because we received some grant money and about the larger project? Because I was the one that kind of initiated this, and I can tell you that that's not why we wanted to improve this park. But maybe I missed something at some point. Maybe staff says something. So I want to give you an opportunity to respond to that before I do. Thank you.
Certainly. My name is Laura Biggs. I'm the city engineer. So we have many parks. Parks have generally been underinvested. And so when we see an opportunity to utilize grant funding for park replacement, even if it doesn't cover the entire cost of the park, we usually look at it as an opportunity to leverage city funds to get something bigger done than we could do with just city funds alone. And so we talked about some CDBG funds and CDBG CV funds coming available, and we were able to look at this park, which we knew was a challenge anyway because we had removed a lot of the playground equipment. Playground equipment had deteriorated, and it was in Census Tract 8092, which we were really trying to focus on because of our E-plan, and thus made a recommendation to replace playground equipment with this park. That recommendation, or with this funds, the recommendation went to the Housing Community Development Committee, HCDC, and they approved that action plan. And then Sarah Flax and I were checking. That action plan was under the 2024 plan that did come to City Council for final approval.
Yeah, because the only thing I see that's bigger is maybe this project in general is bigger than like a smaller top park somewhere. But no matter what, like it is what it is. It's two sets of play equipment that are old. At any point in time, if they were going to be replaced, they would have cost about this much. So it's not like what I'm understanding, it's not like we're doing things here that we wouldn't have otherwise done in the future had we not received other outside funds. I think the fact is, because we have outside funds, it makes sense that has to be used right within this CDBG area. It makes sense to prioritize a park that needs it. And if you would have dug into the Parks and Rec recommendations a bit more, which I have, the reason why they're saying this is not a legacy park is because the skate park. Everybody doesn't use the skate park. That's a small group of people, relatively speaking, in the community that uses the skate park. But just because the skate park is included in Twiggs Park is the only reason why the play equipment, which meets the standard, 100%, it is just as old. The play equipment, which is what we're talking about replacing today, is just as old as any set of play equipment at a legacy park. Let's be clear. So literally the only reason why it's not considered a legacy park, per the Parks and Rec standards, is because of the skate park, which is a new improvement that a small part of our community uses, and I support it. It's a good thing. But everybody doesn't use it in the same way that people use the gazebo and the play equipment and everything else that we're trying to improve in the area. And so I just want to get that clear. I asked a question a while ago about just what these parks cost in Evanston. What I got from Harbor Park was $858,000 in 2020, and what I got back was, however, pricing since the pandemic has risen sharply. Since then, Larimer Park was $1.46 million, which is in, I think, the second ward. Is that I don't know if that's the second ward,
That's the fourth ward.
Is that fourth ward?
Yes.
Was $1.46 million. Independence Park, I believe that's in the sixth ward.
Yes.
Sixth ward was
Seventh ward.
Seventh ward is $2.02 million. This came in at $963,000 for everything that we're doing. To me, that sounds like pre-pandemic numbers. It's a good price when compared to some of the more recent parks. I don't understand what we're talking about here. That's all for now. Thank you.
Councilmember Kelly, followed by Rogers.
I'm going to pass for the moment. That's okay.
Councilmember Rogers.
I'm not going to argue points with you or anything like that. Is it typical that when we're doing installation, the cost is twice the cost of the equipment? Is that typical? Is that atypical when we're looking at this?
That's fairly common. That the cost of the installation is anywhere from doubling the cost of the price of the equipment to 2 times the price of the equipment, depending on the complexity of the site and other things that are happening.
Is this something that we should be looking about trying to figure out how we can bring in-house? Is it something that would make sense to bring in-house?
It would be challenging to bring it in-house because of the amount of equipment that you would have to purchase and maintain in order to, not just the staff, it would require many new positions to cover this type of work, but also the equipment. And then construction season on parks is not year-round.
Right.
So I'm sure with snow and other things that they would find things for those staff members to do, but it would have to be a pretty significant analysis to determine.
And when you say equipment, what type of additional equipment would the city be required to purchase?
Heavy digging equipment, additional dump trucks, backhoes, graders, various large vehicles, and then really just even sometimes pickup trucks to transport staff, plus all of the tools, the training, and then the staff themselves.
I mean, I would just like to, as we move down the road, I think it's something we need to look into and explore whether it's worth the investment. It may not be, but if we're spending twice as much as the equipment cost in order to install it, it might be something that we can look into doing, and it won't pay for itself in the first year, maybe the 5th year, but 10 years from now, it might be worth it to have paid itself off. Thank you.
Councilmember Kelly.
Thank you. So I do have concerns about the cost, and I know Parks and Rec Board does also. Yes, they voted, they took a vote regarding sticking to the grant only or not, but they were very concerned, and that was what the discussion was about, because they're also concerned about the high price on this. But I also want to mention, Councilmember Burns, I think, like Beck Park, you didn't mention, I think that was $3.6 million for Phase 1. And we're now want to allocate like $100,000 for a consultant for Phase 2. So there are some pretty high costs involved here, and I absolutely do have concerns about those. And again, I'll reiterate my concern about following the responsible bidders ordinance and holding our contractors to the high standards that we unanimously voted on when we approved that. So I look forward to that being a part of this process. I also want to mention that we did vote 2-2, and whether we've done things in the past one way or not, but 2-2 really shouldn't fail. It's not in our code, I don't believe, if it's a tie vote. So my understanding is that we should defer to Robert's rules, and in which case that 2-2 vote, it seems to me, it should not have come forward.
Thank you,
Alex.
Thank you, Councilmember Kelly. Mayor Biss. Actually, City Council Rule 24.6 specifies that when a matter obtains a tie vote from all present voting City Council committee members, said matter shall move forward to the City Council with a neutral recommendation.
I apologize. Thank you.
At this time, no one is asking to speak for the first time, so we go back to Councilmember Burns with 2 minutes left.
I just want to make it incredibly clear, what certain members of the Parks and Rec Board requested is not reflective of how staff and myself, why we initiated this and how we proceeded with this. So again, yes, there were certain members of the Parks and Rec Board who suggested that we that we kind of limit or restrict the amount of money we're putting towards this because they feel like it should not have been prioritized because it's not a legacy park. And so what I'm saying is that's because there is an error or failure in the way they created their standards because it's only not a legacy because of the skate park. The equipment very much so meets the standard. And again, if you look at what we're spending for all of our other parks, this is not only in line with it, but it's a lower cost than what we've spent on parks. And so, I had to give the passionate appeal for why this should obviously be supported tonight. But as I've said, and I think Councilmember Davis alluded to, I don't think there's anyone in here, staff included, that doesn't want to find ways to reduce costs. If we can figure that out, let's do it. I've said this to Councilmember Kelly plenty of times, look, we have a bid process. If you know or somebody knows some contractor that could do this for half the cost, tell them to bid. Right? Or if there's some other way to achieve that, then let's achieve it. So I am looking forward to Councilmember Davis's ideas. I think everybody up here, staff included, would support that. Nobody's going to oppose figuring out how the city can pay less. I think what I'm advocating for is let's not try to throw wrenches into things that are at the final stages of approval, especially when it's on shaky ground. Again, I'm going to repeat this one last time. The only reason why it's not considered a legacy park is because an error in the way they created their standards. The equipment is very much so 20 or so years old or whatever it is. It meets the standard. Why wouldn't we want to prioritize parks that are eligible for federal funds and other funds? That makes sense. This makes sense. Thank you.
At this time, no one is requesting to speak for the first time, so we go back to Councilmember Davis with 1:45 left.
We were billed this park as a simple replacement of the playground equipment. You're comparing this to when we did complete redesigns and completely overhauled parks, so it should be on the low end, and if anything, it doesn't seem like it's low enough, given that this is supposed to be a simple replacement of just playground equipment. Also, if the standard is wrong, it's not fair to just say, oh, we found a specific instance. We should reevaluate our process so that it's fair to everyone, and we catch all of the parks that have been incorrectly marked as legacy instead of cherry picking whatever we feel like doing or whatever is conveniently in our ward.
At this time, no one is requesting to speak for the first time, so we go back to Councilmember Kelly with 3:45 left.
So I did want to mention one solution that will address part of this is the referral for codification of the whole entire procurement process procedures, which will in part, so I just want to say there is something, and that's a majority of council has signed on to that referral. And I also want to mention, dovetail what Councilmember Rogers spoke to in-house. I would like to see us considering breaking down, it looks like the pathway, like certain parts of this, and I know we've done that in the past. There have been some park projects where we have done part of it in-house, and it just looks to me like there are portions of this. Let me just find it again. I'm sorry, but there's, I think, pathway expansion or pathway. We couldn't do that piece in-house.
We don't have the equipment that they would need to do it in-house.
Okay, thank you.
Will the clerk? At this time, there is no one requesting to speak for a first or second time, so we go back to Councilmember Davis with 1:25 minutes left.
I put in a referral to have a cost analysis done on the cost difference of having waste services done in-house, and it did not make it because I guess it wasn't a policy. But I would recommend the same in this situation when it comes to having things done in-house for greenways and for parks. And I don't understand what else I can do besides make referrals to have things done. So, like, I am trying, and I actually do not see, like, where we need to go from here. And so this is a question for the other city council members. What do we have to do in order to get an analysis done on this aspect and to direct staff to do so internally?
So I'm going to cut off the debate and answer that question because it's a really important question that I think deserves an answer in public. And then we'll go to a vote after that. The reason that was not moved forward is just it's not a policy change, it's a request for information. I would say there's a sort of a simple escalation where if there's a type of information you want, you should ask Luke for it. If he it gives the impression that it's kind of too much work to do as an offhand response to a particular question from just one of the 10 of us, you can go to other council members just as you did to get those co-referrals, and instead of making a referral, just write a note to Luke signed by a group of council members saying, we, the undersigned, are asking for you to direct staff to do the following analysis and send us an answer by, let's say, a month from now. So like if you ask Luke for something that he suspects most of the council doesn't care about and it'll take tons of staff time, maybe that'll be a tough call for him. But if 3 or 5 or 7 council members say, hey, Luke, this is information we really need in order to make the decisions we're called upon to make as council members, that will spur that request getting to the very top of the list. And I appreciate the question. I think it's really helpful. I think when all of us work together to frame the requests of staff to make sure that we're getting the most out of that, so that a piece of information we're getting is responsive to something that 3 or again 5 or 7 or all of us are really hoping to learn more about and shape our decisions. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Davis?
No.
Councilmember Rogers?
Aye.
Councilmember Hadakatis?
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly?
No.
Councilmember Isles?
Aye.
Councilmember Newsma?
Aye.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
With 5 voting in favor and 2 voting against, the motion carries and the contract award is approved. Now on item P5, Councilmember Hadakatis, do you care to make a motion relative to rule suspension?
I move for the suspension of the rules to allow for immediate introduction and action.
Councilmember Hadakatis moves for suspension of Rule 20.1 to allow for Ordinance 48-0-25 to be introduced and acted upon in the same evening. Councilmember Newsma seconds. Would the clerk please take the roll on the rule suspension motion?
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers?
Aye.
Councilmember Hadakatis?
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly?
Aye.
Councilmember Isles?
Aye.
Councilmember Newsma?
Aye.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
With 7 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion receives the required unanimous majority, and Rule 20.1 is suspended. Now, in light of that, Councilmember Hadakatis, do you have a motion relative to item P5?
I will move approval of Ordinance 48-025, granting a special use permit for a kennel located at 2900 Central Street in the B1 Business District.
Second.
Councilmember Hadakatis moves final action approval of Ordinance 48-0-25. Councilmember Newsma seconds. Seeing no discussion, will the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers?
Aye.
Councilmember Hadakatis?
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly?
Aye.
Councilmember Isles?
Aye.
Councilmember Newsma?
Aye.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
With 7 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries, and Ordinance 48-0-25 is passed. Now on item P6, Councilmember Hadakatis, do you have a motion?
Actually, Councilmember Harkaris has asked me to make the motion since it involves Northwestern.
My apologies. Councilmember Rogers.
I would move item P6, Ordinance 47-025, approving a minor adjustment to the plan development at 1501 Central Street.
Second.
Councilmember Rogers moves introduction of Ordinance 47-0-25. Councilmember Burns seconds. Would the clerk please take Councilmember Kelly?
Thank you. So I don't oppose this. However, I brought up at APW that I do feel that this is a major change, not minor. and would have preferred that this went through the Land Use Commission so that it could be properly interrogated. And I know Councilmember Rogers said that based on definitions of minor or major, but you did mention parking, and the capacity will be increased by about 75%. So I'm not going to motion that it go back there, but I just want to express that I do feel that this would be better in terms of its success. I'm just looking for the success, both for residents and Northwestern, to really have thoroughly vetted this and brought up maybe ways to improve it. I think that would have been helpful. Also, I'm concerned about the fine structure. I know we have a fine structure for light and noise, but I think it's really, the point is to make this successful, and if you have something with teeth in it in terms of enforcement, there's a better likelihood that that the entity will hold to the expectations and the ordinance. So I hope we can, look sometime at that fine structure for a U2 district, for the U2 district. That's all. Thank you.
Would the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Hadakaris.
I abstain.
Councilmember Kelly.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Councilmember Nusma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
With 6 voting in favor, none voting against, and 1 abstention, the motion carries, and ordinance 47-0-25 is introduced and will be on the agenda in 4 weeks, I guess, for action. This brings us to call of the wards. Councilmember Davis.
I don't think that any of the individuals who were here with regards to the Special Olympics and the coach/employee who was overseeing that are still here, but I wanted to mention that I've read all of their emails and I'm working with city staff to make sure that we continue to prioritize the Special Olympics and also other services for people who have special needs. That's it.
Councilmember Rogers.
Thank you. I'll just reiterate what Councilmember Davis said in regard to the Special Olympics, making sure that we are moving forward with a plan so that we can pick the ball up, sports metaphor there, and keep going with it and not have delays. I realize we had a delay this weekend, but I'm hoping that we can move forward on doing that. Deputy City Manager emailed me back. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I'm sorry. But I've put in that request. Also, I'll be doing office hours from 4 to 6 p.m. on Friday at Westtown Bakery at the corner of Chicago and Howard.
Councilmember.
Also, one more quick thing. Although I will not be there, Wednesday night there will be a meeting for James Park for the renovation. This is the second meeting. We had one earlier. This is the one that will be presenting some of the feedback that's come in. So unfortunately, I can't be there because I'll be up here, but they're going to record it and take copious notes for me. Thank you.
Councilmember Hadakaris.
Just want to announce that the August 18th 9th Ward meeting will be canceled because of the special meeting that we just scheduled. So look for a newsletter soon that will give the new date.
Councilmember Kelly.
Thank you. So I also want to express my deep concern and support for our Special Olympics program. It has been resoundingly successful in Evanston. It was like countless articles about it and about the wonderful leadership under Leonard Woodson. I am very concerned about what transpired. There weren't just delays, there were cancellations of a very important meet where 12 players could have gone on to state, potentially a regional meet. So I want to know if this is appropriate. Can I make a motion? I would like to have a closed session with our city manager about this for discussion. I'm here to serve the residents, and I've heard an outpouring of concern and angst about the situation. And so is that something I can do at the call of the wards? Can I make, I would like other council members to support me in requesting a closed session meeting with our city manager about this situation.
Is that a motion?
I guess that's a motion, yes. I guess well, I don't know, because for closed session, you just need 2 council members, right? To call a closed session?
I think you need to make a motion which
I'm asking how
needs a second, and then a majority. I think it's a simple majority vote, I believe. I think that it is. So 2 things. First of all, in the event that the motion passes, would put us in a weird position of breaking for executive session and coming back for the second half of call of the wards.
Okay.
So my first request is let's finish call of the wards and then go back to you. My second request is if you could, like I know that you have deep concerns about the Open Meetings Act, as do I. If you could formulate the motion as crisply and correctly as possible with a personnel exemption in it, because I want to make sure that we're acting in a manner that's consistent with state law.
Okay.
Councilmember Isles.
Next thing up in the 3rd Ward is my regular office hours, which is the first Thursday of the month at Brothers K from 7:30 to 9:30, and that'll happen on August 7th.
Councilmember Nusma.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll echo the comments of Councilmembers Davis and Rogers around the support of the city for the Special Olympics athletes. You know, it's the job of the city now to replace the personnel and make sure these programs are back in business as soon as possible to do the good work that we've been doing. This is something we can kind of be really proud of in this town. I'd like to continue being proud of it. And then number 2, the August ward meeting for the 4th Ward will be Tuesday, August 5th, 7 o'clock at Robert Crown. That is all.
Councilmember Burns.
I ran out of time during that item, but I have reclaimed it during Call of the Wars, so I want to respond to this, especially because we have staff, media here. I want to respond to the allegation of a cherry picking.
Do you run the roundtable now?
What'd you say?
Is Alex your staff now?
First of all, I don't know who mentioned that this was the point of Twiggs Park was just to do play equipment. I think people are reacting to things that they hear from some members of the Parks and Rec Board, which is not council, or things maybe they come up on their own, because that's never been publicly stated. It is common practice in the city for us to, all of these start with play equipment improvement for the most part, even these other ones that I listed off. And then while you're there, it probably makes sense to also say, well, if we're going to improve the play equipment, shouldn't we make sure that the paths that lead to the play equipment is safe and passable, right? So an expanded scope would be, and maybe people are confused with what we're doing at Beck Park. There's like, an overlook and water features and some kind of new elements for skaters and trying to figure out how we get, over, I think, Church Street or one of those streets. That's an expanded scope. It's not expanded scope. It's the play equipment, and it's the paths that allow people to access that play equipment. That's what we're talking about here. It's not an expanded scope. It's not larger than we originally intended. It's exactly how you would want a city to approach these things. If they're going to put in new play equipment, let's make sure that we have the paths to get there. That money is not playground money. That came out of a separate line item. That's about $92,000. That came out of a separate line item in our CIP program that we approved in this year's budget that would allow us to do path improvement around the city. So that has nothing to do about the playground money that's that's coming out of CDBG, et cetera. That's a separate line item that the city staff can use to support improving paths across the city. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear. And then again, this prioritizing, and I'm going to look into this. I'm not sure if there's another park in the CDBG zone, at least one that is a legacy park. That's something I'm going to look at, because the prioritizing has to do with the fact that we sit up here all the time and say we don't want to spend additional CIP money, right? We're bonding like crazy. We need to minimize the amount that we're bonding out. Well, how do these projects get funded? Through CIP. We bond out to improve our parks. So again, why wouldn't we want to prioritize a park? Probably maybe the only or a few parks that are in a CDBG zone that allows us to draw on federal funds so that we don't have to bond out, which is what we do for every other park. So I just wanted to make sure folks are clear. As always, if you ever have any questions, especially before we vote on the item, feel free to reach out to me. If I don't have the answer, I'm happy to connect you with staff. Thank you.
Councilmember Kelly. I think your mic is off. Yeah, go ahead.
You want the request?
Yeah, just make the motion.
Okay, the
And we'll-
motion is to request a closed session in accordance with C1 of the Open Meetings Act related to personnel, to discuss recent changes in the special recreation program, specifically with the Special Olympics program, and the process that has impacted resident participants as soon as possible. So I know our city manager is out, so.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Kelly moves the city council resolve itself into an executive session to discuss personnel items. Councilmember Rogers seconds. Councilmember Isles.
Before we take a vote on that motion, can we get some guidance from staff as to whether it would be a productive session, whether there's anything to share at this particular moment?
Good evening. Actually, at the moment, we don't have much to share, so I think we don't have much to say at this point.
Councilmember Kelly, followed by Burns.
So I do insist on meeting with city manager about this. That is, he is our only staff member that as council we can direct concerns, and I have deep concerns, as do I think other council members and as do much of the community. So I know he's on vacation this week, so I think that would defer this to, when is our next meeting when he's back?
So, I would just say that I would, I mean, I don't speak for anyone but myself, but I would be pretty shocked, to say the least, if the city manager were not willing to meet with the city council who has a concern about anything in the organization. I think that would go without saying. Our next city council meeting is a special meeting the day after tomorrow. Luke is still on vacation then. Our meeting after that is 4 weeks from tonight because we don't have a first half of August meeting.
Okay, so I would propose Wednesday, so that leaves more time to gather information for our staff who can, or if he can be on a call, a Zoom call.
Yeah.
I mean,
The agenda already went out for Wednesday's meeting, and executive session is not on the agenda.
right, well, we could add it now. It would make the 48 hours. I mean, I don't know.
I mean,
if the
look,
alternative-
let's be real. There's not an Open Meetings Act problem with having an executive session. It's not a binding action on the part of the city. I think, I don't think it's in order now for us to move into executive session then. So maybe you can connect with Luke, see if he's available by Zoom at that time. I don't know the specifics of his travel plans for this vacation, but surely you can figure out whether or not that would make sense between now and Wednesday evening.
If I can just say, City Manager Stowe is on vacation with his family right now. At the moment, it's a personal matter, and we don't have that discussion in council. It's in general meeting. What I do want to say is that we are very committed to our inclusive programming. I actually stepped away to talk to these families, and I can assure you that staff is working very diligently to ensure that the delivery of programs in the future are not disrupted. You have that commitment from us. Parks and Recreation is a department that falls under my preview, and I'm working very closely with staff to ensure that what took place this past weekend does not repeat. And we are working on our communication to ensure that we talk to all of the families.
Thank you. Nevertheless, I still would like to meet with City Manager Stowe about what has transpired and how our community has been impacted, and to review that. I have deep concerns, and particularly given this community, and I think they came out tonight and we heard from them, and probably many of you have seen many of the emails. I think we owe it to these residents to meet with our city manager to review what happened. And going forward, better assurance, because things change from one day to the next. That doesn't just, what happened this weekend with, dismissing someone, then not covering for him, and having many participants left out of practice that they were counting on. And I'm sorry, but I still would like to have this. And if we could see if he could meet on Wednesday, that's what I would ask, to see if there's any possibility that he can join us for a Zoom call.
I personally would like to respect our city manager's time and vacation. He works very hard and has long hours that he puts in. I understand and hear what you're saying. Like I mentioned, we are committed to that.
I just, at the moment, it's a personnel matter. That is an administrative function. I understand your concerns about delivering of our programs, and that's why I want to reiterate our commitment to ensure that what happened this weekend doesn't happen again.
Councilmember Burns, followed by Rogers.
We in the past, I have went to Manager Stowe and about personnel related concerns and asked if we can. And what we came up with is that in many cases he felt more comfortable talking about it with a full body as opposed to just one council member, and which I personally would support that if that's what you're requesting. I think what I'm hearing is he's not in town. I don't think it's appropriate to have that conversation without Manager Stowe here. He, of course, is kind of the lead person in the city when it comes to administration issues, and I think he should be present for that. So, but I am comfortable with us discussing it as a body as we've done in the past.
Councilmember Rogers, followed by Hedekatis.
Yeah, thanks. I'm more concerned about making sure we have a policy in place to move forward. So I guess what my ask would be is if we can get something from the city manager's office as soon as possible in conjunction with the Parks and Rec Department as to what that plan is. That's more what I'm concerned with.
As I mentioned, I am working with staff. We are working on a plan. We have been working on the plan now for a couple of days, and we'll be more than happy to share not only with the council, but also with the families what our plan looks moving forward.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hedekatis.
Actually, Councilmember Rogers basically said what I wanted to say, so ditto what he said.
Would the clerk please take the roll? Councilmember Kelly.
So as soon as possible, whenever the city manager Stowe's here, obviously won't be tonight, and it looks like it won't be Wednesday night. So if I could just, I think I said as soon as possible, so that we would have a closed session with him as soon as possible to discuss this situation.
So does that mean you want to withdraw your motion?
No, that is what my motion is. It doesn't say tonight, it says as soon as possible with city manager Stowe.
Is that motion in order, Alex?
So is it a request to add an item to executive session?
It's the same request I just sent, requesting to have a meeting with City Manager Stowe regarding the situation that happened to our community with disabilities who are involved with the Special Olympics. It's no different. It's what we've been discussing. It simply says as soon as possible, and since we don't know, unless you want to give me a date, we know when we have our next council meeting, but maybe we can arrange for it sooner than the
25th.
25th.
I don't think anybody disagrees with the idea of having this conversation. I don't think a motion is in order. The motion that I'm familiar with is, hey, we're going to go into executive session. I think the motion to sort of conceptually go into executive session, I guess I'll defer to Alex on this. I'm a little puzzled.
You're saying that you can only make a motion to go in it the same evening? You can't make a motion for it in the future?
Yeah, I think you only make a motion.
I thought it was strange to even make a motion. I
think you only make a motion to go into executive session right now.
Okay.
Correct, yeah. But I think you can send a note to the city manager requesting that topic as soon as possible.
So I would like us to direct city manager to arrange to meet with us in executive session as soon as possible to discuss this. You want me to rewrite that?
I just don't think this is a thing we would vote on. I'm not sure I understand what the vote would be.
The vote would be to ensure that we're going to have this discussion with the city manager at the soonest possible date. I'm not sure what's unclear about that.
Everything about it is unclear. Like, is there a date?
Well, that's what I say. If you want me to give a date, then we'll say the 23rd. And I would say, or it's 25th.
25th.
Or sooner, if it's possible.
I'm going to defer to Alex.
Can we just agree that the people who spoke in support of the Special Olympics can sign an email or letter to Luke requesting what you just requested once he's back from vacation?
Sure. Could I get a call on who would sign that letter?
I think
I don't
everyone
think we
would
can
sign
take
it.
Yeah.
sure-
So I
I'm
guess,
sure
like,
everybody up here
does
would say
anyone
that.
want to say that they will not support the Special Olympics? Please do.
Well, no, a closed session with Luke Stowe to discuss this
Yes,
matter.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody's on board?
Everyone's on board.
Wonderful. Okay, good enough. I'll write the letter and send it around.
Councilmember Burns, followed by Heracles.
I just want to make sure the public understands, because this sounds more controversial than it needs to be. On 2 separate occasions, I have asked Manager Stowe to place personnel issues, to work with Mayor Biss, to place personnel matter on executive session agenda, and that has happened. And it didn't require a vote or anything else. And so sometimes we do too much up here. It's not that difficult. I know he will get it done.
So I will say that I have with other council members in the past too, and they haven't made it on to closed session, so.
Councilmember Heracles.
I would say that we're in a weird time schedule-wise with the, city staff going on vacation and we having this break. But I think, isn't it the rule that once City Manager Stowe gets back, if we want to also schedule like a special meeting, I know we've had a lot of special meetings. If we want to meet before the 25th, if there's 3 people, right, or 4 people, we could schedule just a meeting to have executive session, but just depending on the timing, so.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Councilmember Burns said it best. There's no controversy up here. There's no challenge up here. There's no difficulty. I think we're all entirely on the same page. So Councilmember Kelly withdraws her motion, and further discussion, including a closed session as soon as practicable, is anticipated. The only thing I would add to what's already been said, in case some of the folks who spoke here are still listening, is I completely understand that it's kind of a frustrating way to advocate, to speak about really gut-wrenching, intense things and not get a response. The city council has got this double-layered set of reasons why responding is inappropriate. The first is, of course, the confidential nature of personnel issues in general, but then the second is, in our form of government, these are decisions of the city manager and not of the council. And so what you saw tonight of these very powerful, important points being raised and then kind of silence from the council is, again, as frustrating as it is, it's the necessary way of handling things. That said, the advocacy is really important. And so I want to thank folks for coming forth. I think the points they raised were important for all of us and for city staff leadership to hear. And I would just continue to encourage people to speak out when they have such strong feelings about critical aspects of city governance. Your concerns are really, really critical. They're being taken seriously, and we continue to learn from them. So with that, and nothing further on our agenda, the July 28th meeting of the City Council stands adjourned. Thanks.